should have got notified.
I did.
Okay. I am Dr. Jeffrey August. I have Mr. John Garrod on the line. We're going to conduct an interview. He's one of the Forest Park players. So, John, just hold off for a second. I'm going to go to my questions because I can't see it because I'm on a different screen.
No problem.
So, anyway, how you doing tonight, John?
I'm alive and well, and I'm pretty amazed by that every day. God still has a sense of humor.
Okay. Let's go. Let's start in the beginning. Your early
Right.
years at Forest Park, right? What do you remember most about your time at Forest Park before the merger?
Well, most of the students that I was in school with, a lot of them, I'd gone to school with since kindergarten. Some of them even, we dated back before, well, at least as far as kindergarten. And so now my world, and of course, every time you go up, you go from elementary to middle, you go from middle to high school, of course, you meet new people. But honestly, that senior year, the transition that we went through was unprecedented. We'd had a handful, I'd say a handful of non-white students, maybe two handfuls. That's about it. That I remember being, um, in school and part of the circle of friends that I had. And now suddenly we're having this change um, put upon us and a whole new world opening up to us. But in the early years, I mean, I guess I was, I didn't know the rest of the world, to be honest with you. I didn't really know of the rest of the world very much. I had traveled some. I'd been to Europe a couple of times, three times, but I didn't really know the world around me because I didn't really know people who weren't from pretty much my same background. And so this
And
was a
when you
whole
say when you say same background, kind of go into that because you know what you mean, but the world doesn't know what you mean.
right. I would say a fairly stable, middle to upper middle class white uh, neighborhoods. Just everybody in our community pretty much um, had very similar backgrounds. We were, like I said, the great bulk. I mean, I don't remember the percentages, but the great bulk of it was white. Um, we had shared experiences. We had shared, our parents knew each other, everything.
Hmm.
I had never known true economic hardship growing up, I would say.
Okay.
Um, so I didn't, I thought this was how the world was.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer the question for you?
No, you whatever you feel. If you finish, which I think like you. I'm just trying to get to the question now
Yeah, well,
because
feel free to dig if you need to or want to.
okay. Oh, I will. Trust me. That's my zest of things. It just went away. Okay. Question two about Forest Park. How would you describe the football culture spirit at Forest Park during the years you attended?
Well, most of my coaches were good coaches, and they wanted to push us to win. They wanted they wanted success. And I'm gonna kind of jump ahead a little bit, and I'm gonna say, but they didn't need the win as much
What,
as
what
we
does
would
that mean?
discover later. Well, there wasn't, of course, it's Texas, it's high school football.
Hmm.
So much of our pride rested in that. So much of our identity, to a certain extent, rested on that. But most of us, most of the people I was closest to, we already knew we probably were not going to, we were never going to play football after high school. We were probably all going to go to college. We were all going to be, we kind of had our footsteps lined up in front of us. So
And when you
football,
said people, what people? Give me names.
um, well, I would say, I mean, I look at some of the, I'll use players for an example.
Okay.
Uh, I look at Ethan Shaw. I've got a lot of respect for Ethan and the successes that he has seen. I think Ethan loved football and he loved winning, but Ethan was also probably going to have success in some form or another business. Of course, it turns out it was law. Lane Walker probably knew he was going to be successful. He was going to have access to an education. Most of us, a lot of us anyway, that I know of, knew we would have access to the education that would open up doors, different doors. So football was great. We loved winning when we won, but we didn't, I don't know that we pursued it with the heart that we learned in that first year of Westbrook. And I know for me personally, I saw a level of heart at that level from the players that came from Hebert. Um, I saw a level of heart that was in dedication to it and dedication to winning. That I mean, to this day, it sticks with me.
Okay.
But I would say that's one of the biggest. That's one of the things that looking back on, I recognize as a factor. Um, and not to mention that those guys came with a culture and a history of winning.
Okay. So, who were your closest teammates, and what kind of leadership or brotherhood existed within the team at Forest Park?
All right. So there's friends and there's leaders. So I'm gonna treat this as two different lines.
Okay.
As far as friends, Donnie Donovan was probably one of my closest. Brad Watson, Jackson. I'm trying to remember Jerry Jackson. Whit Matthews, who I ended up being a roommate with at my 1 year at Texas A&M. Oh man, I should have pulled up my yearbook from downstairs and looked at it. Now, as far as leadership, Ethan as a quarterback took a natural leadership role. Um, Keith Zock, who was a man, a he was a powerful personality. Not to mention he was strong as an ox.
Yeah.
Keith Zott kind of came into himself in our junior and senior years. He kind of came into kind of a leadership mindset more, where he started to realize, I'm getting all this attention, but with it's coming some responsibility. And I think in our senior year, he really kind of recognized and stepped up because of the contact, partially because of the contact he had with other players. Keith was a 110% kind of guy.
Mhm. Okay. Excuse me. How did the coaches at Forest Park prepare players for competition and life?
Uh, Life. I'm gonna take those in reverse order a little bit because they're kind of connected. Um, we worked hard. I mean, I left gallons of sweat on the practice field. Um, I pushed hard. I pushed hard to the point where I used to throw up running and then get up and keep running. And I to this day hate running with a passion. Uh, and yet I would do it. Of course, I did it in the military. You know how that is. You don't like running? Good. Let's run some more. Um, so there was a lot of physical preparation. And some of that I began to really internalize a lot of these things as a junior. And it's why like summer uh, the summer before that final year, that first year of Westbrook, I was in the gym all summer, 4 or 5 days a week. And on top of that, I worked out in the heat, worked for my dad on a survey crew out in the swamps and in the heat. But I would come home, I would wolf down something to eat, and then I would go up to the school. I'd work out, lift weights, um, and run the stands and do whatever else. So it did kind of push me, and we pushed conditioning hard, especially in the off season. We pushed conditioning hard, um, and I think that those examples of pushing hard helped me a lot as I got further in life. The fact that nothing comes without hard work. Nothing happens great in this life, in your life, until you push yourself hard. Um, as far as coaches, and on the Westbrook side,
Oh,
Coach
no,
Elliott was my line coach.
stay on the
I'm sorry.
Forest Park side. We're gonna get to Westbrook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Coach Elliott was my offensive line coach at Forest Park.
Hmm.
He was good. He was a hard pushing man. Coach Schneider was another one who would work you, and work you and work you. He did more safeties and I think he did wide receivers. I'm not sure, but especially Coach Elliott was probably the one with whom I had um, the most day-to-day contact. And he he was a good man. I won't say as far as like um, life lessons. The one thing I can remember him telling me was, if you're going to, and I won't use the same exact terminology, but if you're going to screw up, do it full speed and hit somebody. And I have kind of taken that, took that to heart in life. If you even if you're going to make a mistake, do it full speed. Do it with all you can. Put your heart into it. Put your soul into it. Put your legs into it, and push hard and do the absolute best you can. That's the one big lesson I would say I took really out of most of my coaches at Forest Park. I would say that lesson's probably the one that sticks with me the most. Um, as far as absorbing like leadership lessons, I'm going to say I absorbed more in that senior year than I did in the previous years, but I'm not blaming those Forest Park coaches. I'm looking at it as more because of where I was in life. I think I was ready to learn more. So it was probably a perfect storm of conditions to at least learn some things.
Okay. Did you start at Forest Park your junior year?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I mean, matter of fact, I think I might have played JV my junior year. Because the people we had in front of me that were seniors at Forest Park the year before on offensive line, we had some guys who were just good, and they didn't need to pull anybody up. Now I was big, I was starting to get fairly strong, but we had some guys that were seniors that were not. They were no slouches. They were good, strong guys. You know, we had some big farm boys. We had some big guys that could could block and open up some holes.
Okay. Let me go back. I don't know why it's kicking me out of my questions, but it is. So I keep having to go back to it, but I will figure it out.
No problem.
There we go. So that was your perspective on Forest Park. Let's go to announcement and transition.
All right.
Where were you when you first heard that Forest Park and Hebert were merging?
Um, Probably at home. Um, Watching news, I suppose. I don't know. Probably. I don't really remember the like. I don't remember the setting. It's not like 9/11 where I knew I could tell you exactly the square foot I was standing in, kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, I do remember watching the news and them talking about this and how this was going to go, and
So what
of
did you
course, I
hear?
remember the ping pong balls and all that stuff.
So tell me what you know about any of that.
I remember the ping pong ball lottery kind of thing. And as I recall, it didn't affect you and I, it didn't affect us. It affected everybody below us. It seems like, or maybe it was everybody. It's all I remember is it wasn't going to be how we were decided, like where you and I were going to go to school. It was um, like the underclass, and maybe it was only up through middle school. I don't remember. Um,
It impacted us.
so go ahead.
I said it impacted us because that's how we got to Forest Park. So we went
Okay,
from
well,
our
see,
community. Go
what
ahead.
I understood that my memory of that was that that was not going to be ping pong. That was going to be all of ninth and tenth that were either of our schools. Ninth and tenth was going to go to the old Hebert campus, and 11th and 12th was going to go to our campus at Forest Park. And I thought that was separate because a ping pong ball was like literally you could be across the street from me. If we were in middle school, you could be across the street from me, and I go to Marshall Middle School where I went, and you would go to, was it, what was the middle school? Was there was it Odin or
Odom.
Ozen?
Odom.
Odom. Okay, and you would go to Odom or vice versa. And the next kid down might be, different too. That's the way
Yeah.
I remember the ping pong ball stuff. So my memory's not great.
Okay.
So,
Let me see.
but
So did you answer what was your original initial thoughts and feelings about the merger?
oh, my thoughts about it. Um, I was like, wow, that's going to be weird. Was my first thought. Um, and um, you feed a lot off of what's around you,
Hmm.
and I don't really remember my parents' reactions. They were not crazy about all this, but
So
I
that was my
remember,
next questions.
yeah, and I was raised in a very weird household. in some senses. Racism was very much a part of the culture in which we lived. Um, my
When you say
mother
we,
was,
you mean your family?
well,
You
yeah, I mean, our
mean the
family, I
Western?
mean, our community, honestly, I think our whole community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can remember when my father, after my mother had passed away, my father sold our house that we grew up in. Of course, we're all moved off. We're adults. We're all over the place, you know. And a family member or a friend saying, being horrified that my father sold our house to a black family. And I remember thinking, why would I care? I mean, because my life had transitioned quite a bit from all the way from all of that at this point, and I'm like going, oh, my father found somebody who buys the house and gives him a fair price for it. I don't care who they are. I don't I don't care any of this stuff. And it felt so, the racism, the just man out there racism felt so odd to me. Even 10 years later, I'm like, where's this nonsense? You know, and then not thinking about the fact that I grew up in this nonsense. I came out of this nonsense, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but these people are still stuck in this crap, for lack of a Latin term for it, you know, and but it was there. It was definitely there. And so there was a lot of fear. And I remember talking to Dana Baker several years later. We ran
Mm-hmm.
into each other on the ferry going to Galveston, going to Galveston or coming back from Galveston, I think. And I was married then and everything. And we talked about the fact that he said, I told him, I said, yeah, we were afraid we were going to get jumped. And he said, we were afraid we were going to go in the bathroom and somebody's going to stick a needle in us and stick drugs in us. And I thought, the ignorance always breeds fear. Ignorance
Mm-hmm.
always breeds fear. And I remember thinking, the fact is, we didn't know each other. We didn't know anything about each other except probably the worst, because the worst crap always gets spread the furthest and the fastest. So there was fear, there was trepidation, there was concern for the quality of education.
Why you say
There was
quality of
concern
education?
for, yeah,
Why do you say?
I think there was a thought that having black students who had not had the quality of education, because this is the perception, that they
Mm-hmm.
had not had the quality of education that we had, would bring down the quality of the education that we got. And I think that was
That's
I
real.
think
Like I said, what I'm really trying to
what
capture is the real thoughts that people had. So everybody has different thoughts, which makes this book unique. And
yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
glad you're being transparent
Oh,
because
absolutely. That's and,
'cause
and
at that
the thing
time for
is,
me, Beaumont was really racist because
yeah,
of me, the closeness of Vida, the closeness of we
yeah.
just had separate communities and we're in
Man,
the
we
same
had. I mean, there was a sign in Matter of fact, I think there were two of them that said, "Don't let the sun set on your black ass inviter." I mean,
city.
what kind of garbage is that? And we had a coach in middle school, Coach Grant. Coach Grant was black. Coach Grant was, man, I'd say close to 7 feet tall, a basketball player.
Hmm.
And when we played Vider in middle school, Coach Grant, when we left, got down on the floor in the bus between the seats because he knew that it was not uncommon for someone to throw rocks, take shots, anything else at somebody at anybody black in Vider.
Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely was racist. Absolutely, racism was.
And that's
I
what
mean, it
makes
was,
our story so unique because
yeah,
for one moment in time, black and white, my opinion, did not matter.
yeah, not to
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
not to you and I,
Yeah.
and it was kind of us.
Well, I
It
went
was
to
kind of
Assumption,
like us
so
shooting the finger at it,
yeah, but I
huh?
went to Assumption, so I didn't go to Odom. So I was already indoctrinated into the Hispanic culture, the white culture, because I was most of my classmates when I was at Assumption.
Okay, well, yeah, that gives you another perspective too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So I was already prepared when Westbrook happened because I had came from that environment. So it didn't matter to me as far as the color of your skin. You know, I don't want to sound like Martin Luther King, but it's really about your character.
Oh,
And
we
I
all
judge
need to
every
sound more
man
like
on
him.
character.
We all need to sound more like that.
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. I think you answered it. Did you have any concerns or expectations going into the first joint practice? No, that's a different question. So, did you have any concerns or expectations going into that first joint practice? And do you remember how many people were at the first joint practice?
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing though. I had kind of a jump on most of my classmates because I don't know if you were part of the group. There were a lot of the black players who had come over to our facility and worked out during the summer. Um, I remember meeting Dana. I'm trying to think of who else I met. I met Dana like several times. I came over and worked out in the evenings, and I was in there working out with them. So I got to know several of the guys, and I got to meet Jerry Ball.
Mm.
And I remember thinking, "Holy crap, this guy's like a Sherman tank."
It's like a what? You
Um,
kind of came in broken.
and like
Can you repeat that?
I said, I remember, yeah, I said I remember seeing Jerry Ball and thinking, "Holy crap, this guy's like a Sherman tank."
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember if I met Michael Pollard there. I might have met him too. I don't remember. Um, but I met several of the guys and got to know them. Got to talk with them some, and so it's not like I was walking in because many of my classmates, of my white classmates, were there during the summer. A lot of the guys from Hebert were there. They came over. I mean, I'll say a lot. It was not uncommon for there to be 8 or 9 guys there working out, and I'm the only white guy there. So
Mm.
I met quite a number of these guys. I also knew, hey, this is going to be something different. This is not going to be Forest Park. And I mean that in the sense of the intensity was obvious with these guys. They came in and they worked their butt off. Um, they didn't come in and just hang out in the weight room. They came in and they worked out. They came, I'm out running stands. They're out running stands. They're out running on the track and stuff. And I think that was my first inkling of, hey, this is going to be a little different.
Mm.
These guys have come to win. These guys have come not just to play. These guys have come to win. So I had kind of a preemptory in baptism, I guess you might want to say.
Okay.
Uh, so that helped me a lot.
So you remember how many people came out from Ford? I mean, not from Ford, but from both teams. You remember the number?
No, I don't. I would be curious to see.
Okay. I know, but that's part of your interview, so I can't tell you now. You have to buy the
I guess I got
book.
to read the book. That's fine. It's one of those things I remember showing up, and And I do remember this. I remember thinking, so and so's not here. So and so's not here. I hadn't really, I've never really thought back on that, but I do remember there were several people that I remember thinking, hey, I wonder where they are. Guys that I knew that I'd grown up with,
Mm,
that were always there, and there was a number of them that never came out, or didn't come out in the first days anyway.
okay. Right. All right. Let's go through here. Building a new team. All right. What do you remember about those first practices at Westbrook? Hmm.
I have I have one very distinct memory. All right. And that's when we were doing little shotgun alley drills. You
Blood
remember
Alley.
with the dummies on either side,
Mm,
and two offensive, two defensive, and a running back.
mm,
And I had gotten pretty strong at this point. And I don't remember who I lined up against, but I was the defensive player, and I remember shucking them off, and the man running the ball at me was Jerry Ball. And I remember, I'm going to say hitting Jerry Ball, but that's not the way I remember it when I felt it. I remember Jerry Ball hitting me. And I don't think to this day I have ever been hit as hard as I felt that. And there were years ago, there was a poster of Earl Campbell. And my oldest brother went to the University of Texas with Earl Campbell, you know. And there was a picture of Earl Campbell running over, I think it was an Oklahoma player. And Earl's in the air basically, and there's an Oklahoma player laid on his back, looking up at the freight train that just went over him. And that's kind of how I felt laying there watching Jerry Ball just go, oh, and I remember thinking, holy crap, what was that? And of course, now I feel good about it because I'm like, man, that dude rocked everybody. you know, he rocked a lot of people's world all the way up into the NFL. So I don't
mm.
feel so bad about the fact that he ran my butt over. That was one of my first. That was one of my first memories of practice. Sorry, I'm going to turn my fan off because our temperature here in Georgia, North Georgia. Uh, there we go. Our temperatures here in North Georgia, they get crazy. I've been running around in shorts all over today, and then now all of a sudden temperatures dropping like a rock. Um,
Okay, well,
I
guess
remember.
who I had for Bull in the Ring?
Do what?
I said, guess who I had for Bull in the Ring at 165 pounds?
Saying,
Yep, Jerry Ball.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell
But
you what.
I had to
I
let him
tell
know I
you,
wasn't scared of him. And I licked
yeah,
him.
yeah,
I licked him. I've had two incidents with Jerry. The red blue game when I hit him, I knocked his helmet off. You know what I mean? So for me, I've always respected him because of his size and speed. But I always wanted him to know I wasn't
yeah,
scared of him because I came from Assumption to Heber.
yeah.
And that was just my own
Well,
moxie, my own little thing.
yeah. Well, I got up. I got back up. I kind of, it's kind of like the cartoons where you see the little birds flying around your head. But I got back up and
Mhm.
I said, "All right, I get back down. Let's go again." Um, I was like, you know what? Okay, that's what that feels like. So I'm gonna get back up though because I'm gonna go again. I remember facing off against Michael Pollard. Um, because he was the other person. He was going to be the person vying for first string tackle. And facing off against him, and Mike was not only strong but he was quick. And I have never been accused of being quick. Strong, big, ugly, yeah, all those, but never quick. And man, he was like lightning. Um, I remember, and I'm gonna tell you, this is one of the things. This is where a lot of the. This is really where the racism began to crumble for me. Was because these guys, and I'm when I say these guys, I'm talking about the black players. But I was,
Hmm.
at this point, I'm not feeling the team yet, and I'm feeling the us and them kind of thing. Um, these guys came out with heart. These guys worked, to be honest with you, worked harder than most of my white teammates had. Worked. I mean, they worked circles. Honestly, they worked circles around most of my teammates. I would call teammates during the summer and say, "Hey, you guys want to go out and work out?" No, no, I got to do this, got to do that. That nobody had to force these guys to come out and work out. Nobody forced these guys to come out and pour their heart out on that field. They came out and did it because this is what they wanted to do. And it's really where a lot of the the racism began to crumble because I said, number one, these guys have heart. These guys have. I mean, I saw the way you guys treated your coaches, the respect, and I realized, you know what? I don't have really, 61 years. I still haven't found anybody over whom I have any superiority by any virtue of anything. Um, uh, but I started looking at the heart. I looked at the determination. I looked at the hard work, and I said, "Man, these guys. This is the heart of a champion." Uh, and I would say that looking at a whole bunch of people together and individually, I would say these guys are some of the hardest working people I've ever met so far in my life. And I look back on it and I said, you know what? We all stink at the end of 2 days. We we all sweat. We all get angry. We all bleed. Um, we all. I mean, there wasn't. There wasn't any. There wasn't. What am I trying to say? Let me think of this.
Okay.
There was nothing affect 100%. Um, you guys were matter of fact, if anything, I would say you brought something to it that we didn't have. You brought more heart. You brought more willingness to work than we had. We were kind of lazy. To be honest with you, Jeffrey, we got kind of lazy because I don't know. Number one, we didn't have a culture of winning, like you know, not the winning that Hebert had had. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it was the first time that I really experienced. I'm going to say the heart of a champion. I'm going to say the heart of people who were willing to work hard for something they wanted. Um, I think that's the best way I can put it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pretend to know the heart of every man that was there or the heart of the black community. That's stupid for people to claim. Oh, I understand. I know your heart. No, I didn't. I was born this skin color. Um, you know, I've never had the struggles you have. I've never had the experiences you had. Now I can have empathy and I can have compassion and I can have all those things, but I can't say I know everything about the experience. But I knew this: these young men came there to work. They came there to win. And so whatever the motivations were, whatever the background story was, whatever,
Hmm.
I recognize that. And that was the beginning of the crumbling of racism for me. It was the start of it.
Okay. Um, let me go up. Okay. How did Coach Alexander Durley and his staff handle the challenge of blending two rosters?
They were ruthless. Uh, they looked at who who's capable. They looked at um, who had the heart, who was putting in the work, and who would win.
Okay.
Um, and I think that was, I mean, ruthless in that sense because I don't, I don't think Coach Durley would have cared if the top, if the first string was 75% white, 75% black, 100% black, 100%. I don't think he would have cared. He wanted to field a team that would win. And
Okay.
guess what? He did it. You
I got
know,
a question because I take that you didn't know this, what I'm fixing to say. Did you know that Coach Durley was handcuffed and he had to play six black, five whites, or five blacks, six whites? I take from that statement that you didn't know that.
well, I no, I did not know that. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all by that. I will tell you this: the first time that I got some real playing time was in Galveston ball, and Mike Pollard got hurt. I forgot what it was exactly, but he got hurt, and I went in for him, and I remember looking up, and it was I think I think Bernice Wilson were the only two white players in that huddle when I went out there. Um, I would have told you that I still stand by my statement. I think Coach Durley would not have cared one way or the other what that roster looked like. I think Coach Durley would have um, played the players he thought would win. I don't remember. I don't really remember like the makeup of the squads. Like who was first string. I wasn't first string to begin with. Mike Pollard was, and I couldn't argue that case. Uh, he was a superior athlete. He was better than I was at it, and he worked harder at it. And I think that Coach Durley's heart would have been who's my best 11 on offense and who's my best 11 on defense, and that's who I want on the field. Um,
Well,
I'm not
honestly,
I'm not shocked to hear that about the politics though.
yeah, the politics was real. You know who
Oh
was
yeah.
Coach Durley's boss?
Was it Coach Carswell?
Yep.
Yeah, and I will tell you this: I do not have a kind word or a complimentary word in that regard. Um, I better leave it at that so I can keep my Christian witness.
No, you
Um,
got your Christian. This is about the truth though. And really the
yeah, yeah,
combination of my triangulation is really about everybody has a different truth. The world, I always say, through my eyes, I see it different than another man will see it. And so that's what this book
yeah,
is, the triangulation of which y'all guys felt and saw. And that's why I have to ask the
yeah,
difficult questions because I didn't ask everybody. They brought it out really, you know,
yeah,
actually, which I didn't know, but I knew something happened. Judge Walker had to come out and tell Coach Dirty to play the best players.
yeah. I'm
It
not
was hilarious.
shocked at all by that. I'm not
Yeah,
shocked at all because Coach Paul Carswell was not in my and is not and nor ever would have been in my top 100 people um, ever.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
He wanted to be the coach of us. Did you know that?
yeah, yeah.
He wanted to
And
coach
you know
that team.
what? What a disaster that would have been. What a disaster that would have been. Because honestly, he was the he was the epitome of mediocrity to me.
Mm,
Just um, just the example of it, and probably I would guess the result of the good old boy network, more than likely.
yeah, yeah. But you get to read the book and hear what everybody said. It is
Well,
very
I do
interesting.
look forward to that. I've the what you just said about the point of view. I do this with my students sometimes. I'll hold up a well anything. I'll hold up a thing of nail polish remover and I'll say, what does this bottle say? And they'll say, equate nail polish remover. And I'll say, no, it doesn't. It says warning, extremely flammable. And they're like, it says it right here. And I'm like, no, it says such and such. You're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I see the other side of things, you know. And so I see this. I said, and you have to understand people in other parts of the world, people in other experiences, they see things you don't see. It doesn't mean that they're horrible or that they're even wrong. It means that they see something you don't see and give them respect and understand they're seeing a different part of everything than you are. So
Okay.
I look forward to reading this. I really do.
All right, let's go on to the next one because there's several. Were there any early tensions or misunderstandings between the players from Forest Park and Hebert?
Mentions. There might have
And
been for the first 45 minutes. For for me, again, it was a little different because I went into this um as far as like practices, fall, summer, fall practices. I went into this with more insight than most of my fellow white players did. Um
okay,
Tensions, yeah, there were some tensions. There were some obviously the racism was there. Um there were some um there were people who had been playing in the Forest Park, Marshall Middle School, whatever else. I can't remember the name of the other school that fed into Forest Park. Um, but there were some who had always had starting positions or got a lot of play time, and suddenly they were not going to have as much time because guess what? There was somebody who wanted it more and worked harder for it than they were, uh, and they got the starting position. So there were a few of those. There were a few of those that I saw from the white side of things, I guess I want to say.
okay,
Uh, but outside of that, honestly, to me, I think I don't know, a lot of that stuff got resolved for me early. So
okay,
I didn't really sense as much of that.
okay. That's cool. Let's go to the next question then. When did you start to feel that the team was truly becoming one?
Oh man. Well, I think a lot of it came alive for me Galveston Ball because I got to play, you know, and I felt out there on that field, I felt an excitement, I guess, and a fire that I had. I don't know what it was, but there was something more of a fire that birthed in me around that time, which was uh, because of other stuff going on in my life. it was it wasn't the greatest of timing for me, but it was still awesome to be to feel that fire. And our record in the beginning of the season didn't show uh, what was the potential that was there. You know, our record in the first part of the season wasn't as great as it could have been, and but I remember thinking, and I told Coach Derby this. I said, no, I think this team's going to do amazing things. Um, you know, just stuff was going on in my life, but I said, I can see it, I can feel it. I told him and Coach Elliott that. I said, I can feel things going on that are, you know, exciting.
Okay. Next question. Can you recall a specific moment? You said Galveston, so it might be the same question. A game where the unity became real. So you still sticking with
Uh,
Galveston?
yeah, I'm still going to stick with Galveston. There was, and for me personally, it was, I'm part of this now, is kind of how it felt. And there was funny, there was one play where I, I think it was I can't remember how it was a running play anyway, and I took some guy and I caught him off balance and I just carried him and plowed him. And we're like 15 yards from the play, and I finally just kind of like pancaked on top of the guy, you know. And
Hmm.
I felt amazing. You know, it's one of those plays where just everything goes right and you just plow somebody down, man. It's an awesome feeling. And I felt like, hey, I'm part of this. For me, that was the moment. I mean, I can see the black and white grainy film in my head, and I think it was Coach Tyner who said something as we watched the film, said something to me about that, and like pointed out, see, this is how you do this. You run this and you run that into the ground, you know, something like that. And that's when it kind of felt like, man, this is awesome.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that's my moment.
All right. So now we're going to look at the 1982 season. From your perspective, what made the 1982 team special?
We we chose to extend the middle finger towards the naysayers, and we did it on the field. Those who said this would never work, those who said this was not good, that this would suffer, that would suffer. I no, you know, we showed them this can work. You can put black and white, rich and poor, um, small school, big school. You can put all this stuff together, and if you have the right leadership at the helm of it, he will get the best out of everybody out there on that field. I think that was the signature of the season. You can
Okay.
take I mean, it carried over to me into the military. You get the right person in charge and a team of people who want to do, you can accomplish anything.
All right. Let me go to the next one. How did you view leaders like Jerry Ball, Gerald Landry, and Dale Colbert and Lane Walker?
Um, I would have to say part of this, I'm a young, dumb 17, 18-year-old kid.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't view leaders as leaders. I followed leaders as leaders. There was, you know, now 100 years later, I understand what it takes to be a leader. I understand what makes a great leader. I understand all these things. I've studied them. I've written about them. I've done all kind of things like this. Um, and I've tried to be one for my family, for kids in ministry, kids in school. Uh, but back then, I just followed the leader. I followed the leaders. Um, you step into a huddle and you listened to the person who, I'm gonna say, was just kind of a natural leader. So it that's I mean, it's kind of what the military like tries to build into people, and I think it's when you have good leaders, you have a natural they lead. That's what they do.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. What was your role on the team that year, and what personal memories stand out? And then you can talk about that part what you told me before. I don't want to, you know,
Okay.
want it to be natural, but
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a problem. Yeah, no, that's no problem. I was a left tackle, played behind Michael Pollard. Um, I was, I think I was in the beginnings of my observer role in life, in a
mm,
lot of ways. I was going through some things in my personal life and even in my mental health, looking back on it, realizing it. Um, and I was watching people, and I certainly didn't have a desire to lead. Um, I didn't have any of that. I was cat. I was get off of there. I was more. Uh, I was excited to be part of something, but at the same time, a lot of my heart for uh, football and for life had kind of was in a state of flux, I guess you might want to say. I was confused about my future. I was confused about what I was supposed to do.
mm,
And I look back on it and I was headed down a path um, that was not right for me. Um, I was already, by the time we were playing football, I already knew where I was going to go to college. I knew what I was going to major in. I was going to be um, a mechanical engineer. I was going to go to Texas A&M and be a mechanical engineer. Uh, little caveat, little side point to that is that I was going to become a mechanical engineer, and I hate math and I hate science. Not great characteristics for somebody who's going to be a mechanical engineer. My father was an engineer, however, owned his own engineering firm. So it was, you know, it was kind of that was the path my life was going to take,
mm,
and I I had no idea what I was really supposed to do. Now I look back on it, and I wish I'd
mm,
had the counselors that my school has now, because I mean the military knew better what I should have done than I knew. Uh, I have a gift for languages. I'm multilingual. I pick up languages like most people, pick up a hobby. Um, and at the same time, I was dealing with uh, fear of failure that was absolutely crippling to me for a long time. And so I
mm.
stopped playing. I went into Coach Durley after I think the seventh game, I think it was, and I quit the team. Um,
Why did you quit the team?
and I had a lot of people, huh?
Why did you quit the team?
What'd you say?
Why did you quit the team?
Yeah,
Why did you feel like you
I had
needed
no
to
more
quit the
desire.
team?
I had no more desire to play. I had no more desire to do anything, honestly, at this point in my life. Um, I didn't. I just my heart wasn't in it anymore. My heart wasn't in much of anything anymore at this point. I was beginning to. I was beginning a long struggle with alcohol, um, and which would also become a habit with other substances. And I did not want to be. I wasn't. I just didn't have any more heart for it. I mean, honestly. And Coach Durley said, "Man, do you not think this team is? Do you not think this team is going to win? Because we were at a point in the season where it was kind of iffy if we were going to make postseason play." And I said, "No, I think this team is going to. I think this team is awesome. I think this team's got a lot of potential to do a lot of things, Coach Durley. I really do. But
Hmm.
I just don't want to be a part of it anymore. I'm just and I didn't go into anything else that was going on in my life. I think Coach Elliott might have known a little bit of my struggle. I don't know, but it
So,
was.
so did you go to any other games the rest of the year, like the playoff games? Did you go to any of them?
Um, I went to one of the playoff games early on, but I always felt awkward. Um, I didn't really even tell a lot of my friends that that I played. Um, I didn't. I didn't really go into it. There was only one who knew. Donovan kind of knew what I was dealing with. He passed away a few years ago, and but I didn't want to deal with a lot of the things that I was dealing with, and I kept thinking, it was a thought that occurred to me a lot. There's another stupid thing you did, quitting this team. And in some ways, yeah, it probably was one of the stupidest things I did. But honestly, in that season of my life, I didn't care anymore. Um, I didn't care about much of anything. Um, that was reflected when I went to college the next year and ended up with a blood alcohol content and GPA that pretty much matched each other, um, which is how
Okay.
I ended up in a recruiter's office. Uh,
Let's go on to the next
it
one. I'll
wasn't
let
me
some of that
quitting.
be private. Go
Huh?
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, it's I ended up in a recruiter's office in Bryan, Texas. And they go through all the questions and have you ever smoked marijuana? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, when was the last time you smoked marijuana? And I said, well, let's see, it's 3:30 now. It's about a 20-minute drive over here. Let's call it 3 o'clock. You know? Um, and that was while that was a another downward spiral in life, it was also turned out to be one of the best things I ever did. Uh, Military gave me back a lot of sense of purpose, a lot of identity, a sense of teamwork, a sense of the value of just work through it and go on, and moved on. But me quitting was never a reflection on the team or the leadership or anything like that. It was a reflection on where I was in life. Uh, my own siblings really didn't even understand, what was going on. I couldn't tell them because if I told them, I was telling my parents, and I just, you know, I wasn't up for that at that point. I couldn't, I just couldn't at that point. Um, I was, I was in, I was in some pretty dark places, um,
And you can
inside
keep some of that
at
because
that
I
point.
don't want to put that part, all of that part out in the book because
No,
that's
I understand. But I want you to know. I want you to kind of know
yeah.
where I was
I
coming
didn't know
from
you
on that.
had I didn't know you had quit though, to be honest. I remember you, but
Yeah,
then when I looked on the book, I was like, you're not on the pictures, and I don't know why.
I'm on one of the team pictures, but then by the time you hit the playoffs, they given my number to somebody else. So he shows up on the programs. I show up on the old team picture.
He was he was number 70, wasn't he?
72. 72.
Okay. Let's go on to the next one. I asked
Hey,
with
hold on
pertinent.
just a second. Just a
Go
second.
ahead.
Hey, Julie, can you go pick her up? Yeah, that's fine. She'll deal with it. All right. Sorry, I had to take care of some
Okay.
stuff.
How did the community support evolve um, as the season progressed?
Well, think um I think a lot of the people who were naysayers, and again, most of what I saw was from the white perspective. Um, they got excited about the fact that we had a team that was winning, and those games were exciting. Those games were down to the wire. I mean, let's face it. When a couple of months ago, when University of Georgia played the University of Tennessee, and of course I'm in a hotbed because I'm between, my school. I'm on the Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama like corner. So when Georgia played Tennessee and they win double or triple overtime, whatever it was, man, I remember thinking, man, I tell you what, the tickets, whatever you paid for the tickets for that game, are worth 10 times whatever you paid. For the excitement, for the energy, the fact that, man, you don't you count anybody out until that clock says 0-0 and the score is not tied. And so I think a lot of those people, they also got a little taste on the Forest Park side. They got a little taste of winning. They got a taste of big winning, not just, oh, we won, district or something. No, we're talking, we're Astrodome, Astrodome.
It's magnificent.
We're talking about, yeah, yeah. I mean, high school, and you're going to the Astrodome. That's
Yeah.
that's not
Playing in
normal.
front of
And
28,
it was kind of funny.
30,000.
Yeah, a few years ago, when I was doing my student teaching, um, I was at a high school and they had had them. They have a great soccer team, but they always have kind of a mediocre football team. This year they're doing better. Um, and some of the players are like they always they wore like red blazers, team colors red. They wear their like red blazers and stuff on Fridays on game day. And they were like, I don't know, like 3-5 or something so far in this year. And I came over to them, and the classroom said, "Yeah, what y'all looking at? Oh, so and so from 2 years ago and stuff like that." And then I said, "Let me see your computer for a second." And I pulled up Westbrook Senior High School class 98 football, and they went, "What's this?" I said, "That's what I come from." And they're like, "Oh shit, are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, and that was our first year in existence, and an all black school and an all white school came together. And that's what is possible. And they're like, wow. I'm like, you know what? You should say wow. Um, that should be a wow thing because that was unheard of. Uh, 1982. I mean, that was. Of course, these kids don't understand that, you know. Um, but they're like, wow, the first year, I said, the first year in existence in the school, 5A, which was, at the time, the biggest rating there was, state champions. And I think that those people really, they got a taste of, hey, this is the kind of stuff that's possible. And I don't know what effect it had on everybody else. I know that in our class, even outside the football team, it has had a profound effect. Can't tell us what can't be done. We've seen it. And I've told people for years, a man with an experience is never at the mercy of a man with a theory. You can tell me what won't work. You can tell me that taking, an all black and an all white school, putting them together, and in the first year, yeah, you can tell me that's not possible. But I'm going to tell you it without a shadow of doubt that it's possible for those students to exceed everything the adults thought possible. And so it's like you can't take my faith away from me. You can't tell me what my God can't do because I've seen my God do just amazing things. I'm not at the
Okay.
mercy of your theories. I'm at the liberty of my experiences.
All right.
So
Let's go on to the next question. Um, we're looking at integration and identity. Okay, looking back, did the merger change your understanding of race, teamwork, or leadership? I think you answered that in the beginning, but if you want to add something.
I yeah, I mean it was the beginning of so much for me. Um, the respect um, that I gained for Coach Durley, for Dana Baker, for Michael Pollard, for you, for people that I've watched. It wasn't just that, you know, that people were great football players. I mean, that's a neat thing in itself. But I've watched people become doctors and lawyers and all kind of different things, and not just that, but become fathers and um, leaders and people who just are good people, and realize that you know people are people. They come with just a myriad of experiences and backgrounds and perspectives and all this stuff. But good people are good people, and all this crap about the color of our skin having something to do with the quality of who we are is bull crap. Um, I'm an ESOL teacher. So I'm a teacher for, uh, I teach English for speakers of other languages. Now, I also teach in a second chance, last chance high school. And I teach in a district that is uh, white, black, well, white, Hispanic, and black, and other, and we've got a mix. So I speak a good bit of Spanish in the course of the day. I didn't learn it till my 50s, but man, I'm using
Okay.
it now. And it enables me for everybody because you come into my class, you are my student. You are nothing less or more because of the color of your skin. The army really just like man magnified all those lessons. Who are you? You're a dirtbag. You're all dirtbags. You're all useless, But also you found that people people were amazing and people were horrible. It had nothing to do with the pigment of their skin. It had to do with the content of their character. It had to do with that stuff. When you
Okay.
talked about, words of Dr. King, I don't think those can be repeated enough. Um, Judge people by the content and the quality of their character and put all this other crap aside. So that was the beginning of all of that development in my life, and that development just continues. I'm far from perfect, but I mean, um, you go into it with if you go into life and you go into the world with the perspective that people just um, deserve common decency, um, it changes things. And I don't tolerate it in my kids, my own children. I don't tolerate it in my students. I teach every year. I teach a special lesson on the Holocaust, and I said, "Here's the thing: what you don't realize is that if Adolf Hitler had been born in Texas, um, the trains would still have been full. If he'd been born in Mississippi, the trains would still have been full because you can always find racism and ignorance and fear and stupidity somewhere, and you can exploit it. I mean, look at this country right now. I mean, and this was the beginning though of my eyes opening to that and going, you know what, this if I stand for this, if I allow this, I was teaching this in Sunday school this morning. If I allow this to go on in my presence, knowing better, knowing better, knowing that this stuff is garbage, if I allow this to go on in my circle around me and I don't stand up for it, I'm no better than the SS guard who said, I'm only doing my job. And I'm no better than the German citizen who turned a blind eye when all this stuff was going on around me. I can't stand for it. And that's it all started. It all started in those those plowed under rice fields that were our practice fields. That's where it
Okay.
started.
All right, let's go to the next question. Got like three questions left. What
Sure.
did you learn from playing alongside teammates from different backgrounds?
Uh,
And I think you did answer it earlier, but just to
yeah, I
compare.
mean, yeah, you just um God gave me two eyes, two ears, and one mouth. I should use those in the right ratio. Listen and learn from people instead of just jumping to conclusions. Because that man next to you has something to offer your life. That's the broad term lesson I would say I took out of it. Everybody has something of value to contribute to the world around you.
Okay. Were there moments when you saw the community itself begin to heal or come together?
Yeah, the playoffs, and
Tell me what you
seeing
saw.
well the community's response, and there was a picture in the journal or Enterprise Journal, whatever it was at that point, um, of a black mom and a white mom all done up with the Westbrook stuff on, standing next to each other, cheering and smiling. And I remember thinking, these are two people celebrating the same things next to each other that a year ago would never have been standing next to each other, much less of a same mindset. And I
Okay.
remember thinking that even then, even at 18 years old, I remember thinking that a year ago we would not have seen that picture.
Okay. I said one more question, but there's several more questions.
That's
All
fine.
right. I just looked at the end of it. That's what I'm trying to go through. Um, let's do this. Let's look at the legacy and reflection. Okay. I picked that picture for a reason. That's the cover, right? So when you look at the cover of The Color of Winning, what emotions or memories come to mind?
All right. So the picture I'm seeing on screen, which is you.
No, I'm talking about the book cover.
All right. Let me look back here. Make sure I've got the right email pulled up.
I'm gonna pause the recording since you're
Sure.
looking up something for a second, if I can. I don't
Yeah,
want to mess it up.
I'm
No,
looking back through our emails to find one of the pictures of it. Oh, yeah, I did. If I could spell right, I'd be all right.
we can come back to it while you're looking at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can come back to it. Just continue to look. Um, what does the season and that victory and the state champion personally mean to you today?
Um, Today I look at it as a man who is involved in overcoming racism, bigotry, ignorance, uh, both professionally and just like in. I mean, it's a part of. I mean, it's like a life mission to me in a way. Um, it means it's possible. It means that it's possible for people to overcome all of all their all the crap that were brought up in. And I deal with it, understand, and I laugh. I try to put students at ease about this because I get students who come in, and I'm the old white guy, and so I deal with the fact that guess what? A lot of students come in, they don't trust me, and I'll say something that just um, throws them off. I'll say, listen, I know I'm the old white guy, and you don't trust me. And I said, and I understand that. We don't have a great track record. Um, we don't, you know, we have to own up to some crap because we're not going to
Let's
move
let's try to
past. So,
let's kind of keep it
go ahead.
on. I said let's try to keep it on the book because you're gonna make me have to go back and research
Okay.
all of it.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep it.
So,
And I
all right.
understand you
So
can add some personal.
I pulled up the image.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I pulled up the picture now. They got it. Is that Daryl Colbert? And is that you in front of me?
Yes.
All right. I thought so. I still remember numbers pretty good. Um, it to me, what I look back as far as the being team is, I can believe in a future that's better than what we have. If you want to put it in a real quick, easy way, that's what I look back on the team is the significance of the team today. I can believe in a future that's better because I have a past that was better than this.
Yeah.
The
And if you
picture,
look in the if you look in the background, you see everybody watching, all the players watching. But you have to focus to see that. See,
yes,
my vision of it is different because I was on the field and I understand right before it, and Jerry put Billy Ray Thomas off the center and got on in a 6 technique and said, "I'm finna block this shit." And when he blocked it, we was just shocked
yeah,
because he blocked it. If they kick
yeah,
that field goal, the game is over.
yeah.
And so, to me, all the
Um,
action plays, it represented. I had us in it, the team is in it, and then you see the crowd behind them. And
yeah.
just like that,
I will tell you
everything
this.
changed once he blocked it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know
And
what?
so,
I
to me,
think
that's
the
why I
fact,
chose it. Say it
Jeffrey, I
again.
think looking at this now and really thinking about it, one of the best things about this is
Mm,
that the only people you see that you could identify is the players on the field. And if you think about it, that's what that's a big part of what the magic was in this was that everybody on the outside wasn't they we didn't get hung up on what they thought. We didn't get hung up on what they said. We didn't care so much about what they thought was possible. We on the field, we did what needed to be done. You know, we got past these things. We got over these things. We had differences. We settled them on the field, and then we went into the game as a team. And I think the
Hmm.
fact that crowd is out of focus is brilliant. Um, the focus isn't on them. The focus is on these young men on this field doing the impossible. And
Yeah.
and really, I mean, I had not thought about it honestly. I saw the picture, I knew what it was, but honestly, I look at that picture and I
Hmm.
think you've got the brilliance of it. You've got the very essence of the miracle right there because our focus wasn't on them. Our focus was on what we were doing. And so I think you
Yeah.
really kind of and I think you know what you caught.
Yeah, because I wanted all three entities
Yeah.
because it was the city of Beaumont, it
Yep.
was the players that were on the sideline, and then it was the players that were on the field. But it captures everything in essence.
Everything. Yes. In
And
balance.
to me, it didn't matter whether you was white, red, black, green, yellow.
Yeah.
It's the play that happened. And actually, what's amazing about it, Clem picked it up. It's interesting on his interview. He talked about it. It's in the book as well. Um, the dude grabbed his jersey and choked him, which was horse collar, which is illegal now, but it wasn't then.
Yeah.
And then I get the ball, kick it, Coach pushing me. Then Coach recovered the ball. I have an interview with Coach hopefully next week. I've been trying to catch up with him. Nobody knows how to get in touch with Zach. He said he was gonna try. I want Zach's opinion. Butch is on social media. He won't
Yeah.
respond for whatever reason. I respect that. I just wish he would just
Who's
respond and say I'm not interested, but I won't give up. I'm just one of them type of people, person of
that?
interest.
Oh.
Let's look at the next question because I didn't want it to go past 2 hours, and I think we have. Um, what lessons from 1982 still guide you in your life, family, or career now? And I think you mentioned something, but brief,
Yeah.
briefly, kind of.
It's don't let anybody sell you fear, ignorance, and racism
Say it
against
again.
anybody. Don't let anybody sell you fear, ignorance, and racism. And
Okay.
don't let it go uncalled out. I mean, this this is possible if we put all that crap aside.
Okay.
Well, we'll still have differences, but this is possible. This stuff on the screen, this is possible.
Excuse me. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Kind of like the same family. If you could speak to today's young athletes about that team, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them? If they
Yes,
were,
if you could speak to today's young athletes about our team, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that if you can put aside all the all the garbage and tune in as a team, you'll
And
be
when you say garbage,
amazed.
because you're using the term the way you know you meant it. So what do you mean when you say garbage? I'm just trying to pull it out of you.
If you can put aside the prejudices, the
Hmm.
fears, the the ignorance and just treat each other with respect, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve on the field and off the field.
Brilliant. And I think this is probably the last one. Personal memory segment, optional for direct quote. Can you share one unforgettable locker room moment, practice memory, or conversation that captured the spirit of that season?
Um,
I'll read it again. Can you share one unforgettable locker room moment, practice memory, or conversation that captures the spirit of that season?
yeah, I'm trying to think back. My moment would not be a locker room moment. Um, my moment would be several years later, meeting up with Dana Baker on a ferry boat. That would be my moment because I introduced him to my wife and we talked, and um, he treated me like an old friend. And in a fact, and I realized I was really glad to have this man as a friend. And honestly, that's my memory I go back to a lot is
Mm-hmm.
that I was so happy I had made this friend and other friends, on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was a memory I think I go back to most, Jeff, is I went back, I go back to that and I think my life is richer because of the friends that I made um, in that preseason and during that season and going on past that. And some of the students, some of the other students that were not, football, some of the girls and stuff like that that I met. Um, but I remember that moment with Dana just really, it showed me the value of, uh, of what had happened, and the growth and the change for me personally. It showed me the absolute value of um, getting beyond uh, getting beyond all the garbage, the fear and the ignorance. And that's my moment. It's not a locker room moment. It's a way post game moment.
Okay. And that's a moment that captured that season. The last question, um, which I kind of cheated and I gave you a little bit of it. But when you think of the phrase "the color of winning," what does it mean to you personally? Because it to me is an exciting title. I mean, our
Yeah.
class picked the title to be honest, whether you knew that or not. I gave them a couple. They picked the one that they liked the best. And honestly, I think that would catch people's attention that have never heard of our story. So
Yeah.
the color of winning.
I love it. Um, I love it. I think that the color of winning is it's not an absence of color. It's a presence of all of the colors. And because winning is its own color, it's like it should get its own crayon. Uh, it should get its own crayon color. That's it's because when you win like we did, when you win in this circumstance, when you win against odds, when you win against everybody saying all this crud, it is it's a it's a very special thing, uh, and really winning like this um, should be celebrated, and it should be celebrated around the world because this same lesson is relevant in um, in any place where you have cultures and races that are pushed together, come together, clash together. Uh, if you can celebrate a win like this, if you can celebrate, if you can point to something like this and say,
Mm,
this is possible, you can um, you can color the world a new color. I
okay.
look back at people who have brought unity. I think of Nelson Mandela, and I teach about him in one of the courses I teach Sunday school, total
But you know what?
forgiveness. And
For you to
Nelson
say
Mandela,
that,
huh?
for you to say that, you might not know it, but we actually Disney had the rights to our movie, and the producer of the of Martin of Mandela was actually the writer of the script for our movie. He wrote Mandela, and he
I did
wrote
not know
Gandhi.
that.
Yes, there's actually a script. They couldn't find it because Nolan probably hid it somewhere because Miss Durley said she gave it to him because I've interviewed Miss Durley. And I wanted to see the script because I was going to extract information from it to see where they were going. But I went a different total way because I call it the voices of the players. I wanted y'all to speak instead of me speaking through y'all. So I captured y'all voices, which I don't
Yeah,
think has ever been done before, and let y'all tell y'all story. And
yeah.
then with it, I combined it and I triangulated to see what all of y'all said that was similar. And the uniqueness of it, y'all don't know, but I know. So I am the voice at the end, but it's y'all voices that make the story as magical as I want it to be.
Well,
Colorblind.
I look back on it. Well, I don't think of it as colorblind. I think of it as you see all these colors together and you don't go, oh, this doesn't go with this. You say, hey, let's put all these crayons in a pile and we're going to make some amazing art with this. If I handed you one crayon and a sheet of paper, you'd draw the most boring damn picture you could ever imagine. But if I hand you a box of 64 crayons, man, you're gonna create some amazing things. Um, I don't think the color of winning is colorblind. I think it's an amazing collage of colors.
Yeah, it's kind of like I call it a ladder that I use for mentoring. I let the boys use 5 stages of a ladder, 5 steps, and you tell me what level you're at on certain topics that I want to cover, whether it's
Hold on, you're
integrity.
breaking up a little bit.
Okay. That's because probably we've been on here so
Okay.
long. But I use the ladder
All right.
discussion for the boys, and I let them tell me their ladder, different levels. They have 5 different levels. That everybody's different. Things that are important to you, whether it's leadership, whether it's integrity, uh, whether it's I've been blessed this week. One of the judges is fixing to come and talk to the kids after Thanksgiving. He's talked to them before, but he does the if kids get in trouble, that's the judge they see, right? So I think that's relevant, so he can tell them what he sees. The Spurs has been sponsoring me. They gave me actually 65 more tickets for the San Antonio Spurs and
Oh, cool.
Memphis Tigers on 2nd of December. They give me free parking for the parents. Um, I'm part of a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Qs. And so the young Qs that's at UTSA, they're going to come out next Wednesday and talk to the boys about their journey. They just crossed Saturday. I've been trying to combine that with younger brothers because they're closer to their age. They're 3 years out of high school, 2 years out of high school, and tell them about their journey. Um, this God's been blessing me because through him I asked him to give me the knowledge and the ability to do the things that he wants me to do, not the things that I want to do. So I'm just really existing now. But I really do appreciate your time. I was trying to figure out how I got to come up with. I'm gonna tell you where I'm at right now. I'm at 42,000 words. I'm going back through the chapter. They want 50 to 60,000 words, which is a lot. Um,
Yeah.
I
I'm a
think I
writer. I
told,
know.
yeah.
I'm a
So
writer. I know what that is.
yeah. So I'm just trying to just put it together. I'm still going through it, still adding the front matter, the back matter. Um, and it's just a blessing, man. It's a blessing to be able to be the bus driver. of This great experience that I get to share with the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
so,
You've done an amazing job. And honestly, you know, it it was you that made our Facebook group what it is, you know. And there's every voice, and you look on there, and people, even if it's just happy birthday, it's a connection, and it's a reminder of, we were part of something awesome.
yeah.
We were part of
And,
something
and I try to
unique.
share. I try to let everybody have the ability to speak. And everybody wants to be a part of our page, but I keep them off the page. They got on before I got on because they wasn't part of the class in 1983. I wasn't letting them in because you have no part of this. You have no
Yeah.
piece of it. And so
Right.
that's why everybody can't just post what they
Yeah.
want to post.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep remembering if special things happen and y'all send it to me, and I think it's things I want them to know what everybody's doing or when they excel. That's important because
Yeah.
we still are family. And lately, I hadn't talked to you in a while
Yeah.
since the article. I'm gonna combine the article that's gonna be in there as well. So I was just thinking about how to use you and me, um, and also Judge Walker was amazing. He said some things. Ethan was amazing. Barkley was his normal
Yeah.
self. Everybody's the same. Uh, but when you read it,
Yeah.
y'all, out everybody, y'all get more. So let y'all families and friends know that it's coming. I don't know if you went to
I'm looking
I got
forward
an
to it.
author page that I had to build. It's called The Color of Winning. I don't know if you've seen it. I put it out on our group thing. A lot of hard work came to that. It's not perfect like I want it to be, but it's great. It's great. It's a great tool. I have that. I go through the when people sign up, I get a note. So I get everybody. I got 514 notes that I still have to go through. I got like 200 left. So every late at night, guess what I be doing? I do that. I write
Yeah. Yeah.
um, because I believe in this, man. God gave me this to do, man. For no other reason. I don't care the cost of
Yeah.
getting things done. It's not a money thing. It's about a legacy thing. And whoever God blesses us and
Yeah.
brings us, that's where we
World
go
needs
to.
us.
Yeah,
World needs this.
yeah.
I mean, this
Because-
if we haven't seen this in the last 10 months,
Yeah, and so like
we
I
haven't
said,
seen this in
I'm
the
using
last 10 months. I mean, I'm just gonna
yeah,
tell you, we
it's
need
been 20
this.
years, you know. But I just believe it's
Yeah.
right. Everything that's written is written. It's like God is writing it. I'm being honest with you. Nobody ain't gonna believe me. I can write some stuff and he'll wake me up in the middle of the morning
No,
and
I
like
do.
August, hey dog, you this is what I need you to put in there. And it's amazing how it then came through. I
Yeah.
want to say you for like the last piece. I've been
I
trying to get Croce, you know what I mean? Only person that's really that is two people, Vernus. I don't know Vernus, I don't know if I'm gonna get him. And I don't know if I'm gonna get Zoc. But people out there looking for the information. I got Johnny Norwood by asking people did they get in contact with him because Johnny lives in Cincinnati now. He got him a new younger, I call it a new
Oh,
younger car. You know what I mean? But I'm going to Cincinnati this summer for Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So we're supposed to meet up at the casino. I hadn't seen him since 1983. So that'll
wow.
be amazing. That'll be
I've changed
amazing.
a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, it's life,
We
brother.
changed
It's
a little
life.
bit.
It's life. But I'm glad that you end up being a part of this journey. So let your family know out. Let them send them to the websites. That's a lot of the. I didn't say it, but now I'm starting to say that to the guys that's in the book. Let your family know. That's part of
Yeah,
your legacy. You know what I mean? Let people know. And my family knows. I just took it for granted that people would, but after a while, I kind of noticed because I get all the pre-order, so I see them. Um, so what I did
yeah,
is go back and make a chart, which I use Excel. I guess
yeah,
college does work. Some of the things you use with Excel and Word, the classes I had to take. So certain things that teachers use that
yeah.
saves you a whole lot of time, a
You know,
whole lot.
I found going back to college in my 50s, number one, it's a whole lot better when you're sober.
Yeah, let
I
me see if I can
learned a
stop the
whole lot
recording.
more sober than I did.
I'm gonna stop the
But
recording.
uh, but I also found, huh?
Nah,
What'd you
I
say?
wanted to stop the recording because I'm just talking now. No, I stopped the recording. You can
Yeah,
talk.
I um, I learned a whole lot more going back to college sober than I did drunk the first time. I also learned because I was studying things I wanted to learn. You know, I wanted to. I when I first went back, I didn't know what I was going to do exactly. I figured it had to do with languages because that's always been my strength. So I
Mm.
thought, well, God's going to send me back to school to be an interpreter or something. Uh, and the one thing I told him I didn't want to do was teach. I was like, I don't want to teach. If I go teach, I'm gonna pinch one of these kids' heads like a pimple. and and of course,
You
what
know,
does he do? He sends me back to school to learn and to
yeah,
teach.
yeah.
So
I teach in my own way. I teach because I have the boys every once a week. So I spend all 4 hours a week, 5 hours a week. But I also see them out of school, whether it's at football games, basketball games, plays,
yeah,
kind of involved with them. And the reason is we had men that did that with us. And that's some of the
yeah,
things that really saved my life. And I give that to
yeah,
my children, and my children excel because I wanted to give them what I didn't get as a kid. You know what I mean? We call it
yeah,
Maslow's theory, and I believe in Maslow's theory because if you, even with honey, you feed your dog at a certain time, you ring the bell, I ring it every day for a week. Then after that week, if I ring the bell, she gonna come because she knows it's time to eat. And that's the same thing I
yeah,
take with dealing with kids and teaching. You know, it can be something simple like table etiquette. I didn't know what fork to use, what spoon to use, what glass was mine. How to tie a tie, how to tie a bow tie. Even though it might seem simple, but that's soft skills that need to be in your toolbox. Um, I did something different uniquely. It was a stupid game, but it makes them build leadership. Where I have numbers 1 through 30. I put them not in order. They get in a circle. I break them up in two groups. Now, when I say go, somebody's timing you. Yeah, I can go in, but you have to touch the numbers in sequential. But you don't know what the numbers is. I know what the numbers is, and I even don't know exactly. You know what I mean? Because they mix now.
yeah,
You got to touch one, two, and you got to figure out because your team has to do it, and you're competing against the other team. So now you got to talk. Now you got to practice leadership. You understand what I'm saying? It's
yep,
several things you have to put together to accomplish your task, just like the military. I got another
yeah,
thing. I use the ball with the net. You have 9 numbers. You have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got hose ball of numbers, and you have to go in order, and the ball can't go in the hole. And then with that, you got to drop the ball through the last number that's in the middle, and you have to drop it into a cup. So with that, if you have a weak link, you can't do it. If y'all don't decide that y'all gonna
yeah,
really work together, that's impossible. But you won't figure out honestly how to do it if I just give it to you And so once you go over the numbers, you figure that part out, right? Well, how do I get the ball through the hole into the cup? Once again, I let you meet, let y'all talk. I know the leader gonna come
Yep.
out of the group because he's gonna be wanting to,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right. The
So,
leaders are going to come out,
yeah, just
and
little.
the one who's got the processing mind is going to come out, and the one who's got the memory is going to come out, and the innovator is going to come out. They're all going to surface if you just let them work it out.
Yeah. And so I challenged them. I challenged them with them. They baked marshmallows the other day and made out a pizza box. Just building it. They're like, I just hope I can do it. But then they struggled with it. You know what I mean? Because if you didn't do it right, when you went outside to try to bake the s'more, because of sonar energy, if your plastic wasn't right, that you put on there, because the plastic conceals the oxygen. And so when the sun comes through the plastic, it hits the aluminum, or hit the black paper, then you create the sonar energy. So just teaching them things.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more philosophical now, but I want them to be active in my mentoring program.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Well,
remarkable. Go ahead.
I teach in a school full of kids who are it's second chance, last chance.
Hmm.
And then on Tuesday nights, I teach in an addiction recovery center.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of these kids who I call them kids because they're all kids to me. Um, and I'm like, listen, it's not about what you know, it's about how you think and how you learn to think and use what you've got to solve problems. It doesn't matter if it's getting through algebra or it's kicking your addiction and staying away from it. You got to learn to think about how you think. Because honestly, I mean, my
See,
kids, my students,
you're really talking
they're
about a
not going to
positive,
remember all this stuff, but they're going to remember how they think and how they
yeah,
problem solve.
but you're talking about a positive mindset, though.
Well,
And that's
I'm a product of Les Brown.
yeah. But let me go take a bath, get on this machine. I do dialysis every night, so I had to come
Yeah.
and lay down because I wasn't feeling good. But I wanted to finish the interview.
All right, buddy.
I appreciate your time, nothing but love, and I can't wait till you read this magnificent thing I'm putting out.
I'm looking forward to it. I
All right,
really
so
am.
you take care,
All
baby.
right, buddy. Take
All
care of
right,
yourself, man.
I will. Bye bye.